Hello, everyone. You're listening to Alternative Revelations with Linda Emanuel. This is podcast number 31, Why Vitamin C IVs Kill Mycoplasma, which are the most common cause of cancer and disease. And before I get started, I have to read this disclaimer that I am not a doctor, nor can I give medical advice. And these podcasts are for informational purposes only. And with that said and done, I can begin the podcast. Again, this podcast is about vitamin C therapy and why it is effective against mycoplasma, which is the most common cause of cancer and disease. Now, vitamin C is derived from glucose and is a weak acidic sugar, meaning it can easily donate or lose elements in metabolic processes. And vitamin C is essential for all animal life. And humans, guinea pigs, monkeys, apes, and certain species of bats and birds cannot convert glucose into vitamin C. Because of a genetic mutation, they do not manufacture the enzyme, which is the required catalyst to make vitamin C. Now, reptiles and some orders of birds manufacture vitamin C in their kidneys. Mammals who can make vitamin C manufacture it in their livers where the enzyme is present. Vitamin C plays a crucial role in enzyme reactions, especially in the synthesis of collagen, because it donates electrons. The presence of vitamin C is important in wound healing and in preventing bleeding from the capillaries. Most important, vitamin C is an antioxidant, donating electrons to keep iron and copper atoms in their reduced state. And remember from previous podcasts that mycoplasma use copper and iron in their metabolism. Mycoplasma is anaerobic, meaning it does not use aerobic respiration for metabolism. This plays a crucial role in why vitamin C therapy is effective. Now, vitamin C also enhances iron absorption. So in summary, humans must have sufficient amounts of vitamin C, otherwise scurvy will manifest. Now, scurvy has plagued man since the beginning of time. It was especially prevalent in the days of sailing vessels when sailors, soldiers, and pirates were out to sea for long stretches of time. These early seafaring adventurers, their only source of food was salted meat and dried grains because fruits and vegetables were perishable. And remember, these people spent months on the seas traveling to different continents. Now, Hippocrates, who lived around 400 BC, even described scurvy. Now, symptoms of scurvy include spongy gums, loose teeth, and gum bleeding, jaundice and fever, and wounds not healing. Now, vitamin C is important to the immune system for healing, especially in the synthesis of collagen. Now, it has been observed that cancer patients to have low levels of vitamin C and scurvy symptoms. This could be because vitamin C is in short supply from the drain of an infection. Because again, mycoplasma consider vitamin C sugar and suck it up, thus cutting off the supply of vitamin C for the cancer patient. Now, oral vitamin C supplementation. And vitamin C is water soluble, and any excess will be eliminated from the body. Oral megadoses of vitamin C, therefore, are ineffective in the treatment of disease and cancer. And in fact, vitamin C feeds Mycoplasma. Now remember, vitamin C is derived from glucose, and Mycoplasma cannot survive in your body unless it has a source of sugar or glucose. Now, vitamin C through an IV is an effective treatment against Mycoplasma. But first, before I explain how it works, I have to explain aerobic cell respiration in simple terms. Now, I always like to ask people, why do you think we breathe oxygen? Why do we need air? And most of the time, people don't know why. And it's actually very self-explanatory. But the reason we need to breathe oxygen is because when we eat carbohydrates, our other food, the body cannot use carbon and hydrogen by itself. So when the cell is breaking down molecules of carbohydrates, it has to have a way to eliminate the carbon and the hydrogen from the body. Otherwise, the carbon and the hydrogen can damage the cell and kill it. So we have to have a way for the cells to eliminate the waste of carbon and hydrogen. And by the way, we breathe out CO2 and we eliminate H2O through the bladder. And plants are in perfect harmony with mammals because they need CO2 and H2O for survival. So we are in perfect harmony with nature. And this garbage about the greenhouse effect, it is garbage when they're trying to reduce the greenhouse gases, which is CO2 and what we breathe out. Plants need CO2. They need us. It's that simple. So here we go. So when we eat carbohydrates, for example, the body or the cells take in that carbohydrate and the mitochondria breaks it down. And this is the sequence. 1 glucose plus 6 oxygen, which is O2, equals 6 carbon dioxide and 1 H2O, 1 water. So the CO2 is then safely eliminated by the lungs, and the H2O is eliminated through the sweat glands and the urinary tract. It's that simple. Now, hydrogen peroxide, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Hydrogen peroxide is a natural byproduct of many metabolic processes. Within macrophages, which are an immune system cell, enzymes and toxic hydrogen peroxide destroy and digest pathogens. Hydrogen peroxide is even used by plants as a defense against pathogenic microbes. And hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. Potentially, hydrogen peroxide can damage the cell. Therefore, aerobic life has a natural defense mechanism, catalase, and that's an enzyme, and it's spelled C-A-T-A-L-A-S-E. Now I'm going to give you the definition of catalase. Catalase is a polypeptide which consists of over 500 amino acids. It also contains essential iron that allows the enzyme to react upon contact with the hydrogen peroxide. Otherwise, it is potentially harmful, and it has a harmful effect on the cell. Catalase converts hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. Catalase is recycled, and just one catalase enzyme can convert hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen 1 million times a second. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Catalase can reduce hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen 1 million times a second. Wow. Interestingly, loose, heavy metal ions, such as copper and iron, inhibit catalase from converting hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. And it is a very important phrase. I'm going to repeat that again for you to remember. Loose, heavy metal ions such as copper and iron inhibit catalase from converting hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. And if you remember, inside the cancer cell is the mycoplasma, and mycoplasma use iron and copper for metabolism. And the cancer cell, is anaerobic. And if you remember from the macular degeneration podcast, when the mycoplasma get into a cell and invade it, they knock out the mitochondria, and the cell becomes anaerobic, meaning it has no oxygen in it because mycoplasma does not flourish in an oxygen environment. So the cancer cell is full of mycoplasma. Now, another interesting fact, the aerobic tuberculosis bacterium produces catalase to neutralize hydrogen peroxide, which allows the bacterium to survive inside the macrophage within the lungs. That is why so many people have died of tuberculosis, because it is very hard for the immune system to kill this pathogen. Now on with the podcast. Now before I get into why IVs of vitamin C kill mycoplasma, I have to mention what mycoplasma is. Mycoplasma is an anaerobic bacterium. It is a total parasite. It needs a host to survive. Oxygen and hydrogen peroxide kill mycoplasma. In fact, hydrogen peroxide is more lethal to mycoplasma than bleach. Mycoplasmas flourish in an acidic environment and crave glucose, which they use to make energy. They do not use oxygen as a receiver. Instead, they use iron, copper, and manganese during anaerobic respiration. And I suggest that you listen to my podcast about why people are anemic who have mycoplasma infections. Now on with the podcast. It has been determined that cancer cells uptake glucose 19 times faster than normal healthy cells. The product of anaerobic sugar fermentation is lactic acid. Now, doctors use sugar to detect if cancer cells have metastasized, which means spread. Before performing a PET scan, the patient is injected with sugar containing radioactive dye. The cancer cells light up like a Christmas tree when they intake this radioactive dye, which is in the sugar. Ironically, doctors tell cancer patients to fatten up by eating high sugar food such as ice cream, which only feeds mycoplasma. Research has shown that cancer cells especially like high fructose corn syrup, used to sweeten just about every processed food available in the grocery store. Research has proven that pancreatic cancer cells use high fructose corn syrup to proliferate. So obviously the worst things cancer patients can eat or digest or ingest, I should say, is sugar. Sugar feeds mycoplasma. And in fact, sugar is used in several of the protocols, which are going to be in the next podcast. They're used as a bait for the mycoplasma to uptake baking soda. So on with the podcast. So the following, your doctor probably doesn't know why vitamin C therapy works. In my opinion, vitamin C therapy only works to kill mycoplasma inside the cancer cells. In the bloodstream, there's no way for hydrogen peroxide to build up. So here goes why IVs of vitamin C kill mycoplasma. Now, first, I have to remind you that vitamin C is derived from glucose and that mycoplasma recognize vitamin C as a potential meal. Cancer cells, which have mycoplasma inside, uptake sugar 19 times faster than normal cells. Mycoplasmas are hungry for sugar, which enable them to proliferate. Now, according to researchers who observed the effects of vitamin C IV therapy, when megadoses of vitamin C enter the cancer cells, and again, oxygen is not present in the cancer cells, vitamin C starts interfacing with iron and copper that are present in the cancer cell. And remember, there is no catalase enzyme in the cancer cell because iron and copper inhibit it. That's important to remember. The result of the interaction produces small amounts of hydrogen peroxide. Now remember, there's no catalase in the cancer cell. As more and more megadoses of vitamin C are uptaken by the cancer cell, more and more hydrogen peroxide accumulates. Hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, is lethal to the pathogenic mycoplasmas, and they die. It's that easy. It takes megadoses of vitamin C through an IV to kill mycoplasmas, but amazingly, mycoplasmas make themselves vulnerable by needing iron for metabolic functions. Many alternative doctors are familiar with vitamin C therapy and are therefore willing to give the IV. So to summarize it, iron and copper inhibit catalase, which breaks down hydrogen peroxide. And since the cancer cell contains iron and copper along with the mycoplasma, the hydrogen peroxide builds up and there is no catalase to break it down. And eventually there is enough hydrogen peroxide accumulated that it kills the mycoplasma inside the cancer cell. It's that easy how vitamin C therapy works. However, vitamin C is very, very tough on the veins and the arteries. And it's also important to remember that vitamin C is a weak sugar and easily donates electrons and elements, whereas glucose is not a weak sugar, and mycoplasma can really utilize glucose. There's a difference. I'm going to give you a little bonus. I'm going to tell you how to make your own vitamin C, because vitamin C is an ascorbic acid and the form is sometimes destroyed in the digestive process. And it is very logical that vitamin C might not pass through the digestive tract because all bacteria like sugar, and the bacteria in your gut also recognize vitamin C as sugar, and they might be grabbing up this vitamin C and robbing you of your vitamin C. So this formula or this recipe assures that the vitamin C hits the bloodstream. And it goes as follows. You will need 3 things. You'll need bulk non-GMO sunflower lecithin. That's lecithin. And you'll need bulk ascorbic acid powder. And you'll need distilled water. Now there's 4 steps in making it, and they're pretty simple. The first step, you dissolve 3 level tablespoons of lecithin in 1 cup of distilled water in a glass jar or glass blender. Now shake or blend the lecithin and the distilled water until there are no granules remaining. Step 2, in a separate glass bowl, dissolve 1 level tablespoon of ascorbic acid powder in 1/2 cup of distilled water. Step 3, you combine lecithin mixture and the ascorbic powder mixture together in an ultrasonic cleaner bowl. Now this is a tip. Before combining the mixture in the ultrasonic bowl, combine the mixtures in a glass jar and screw the lid on and shake it. So then you pour both mixtures into the ultrasonic bowl, and you can purchase them from Walmart, and turn on the switch. While mixing, stir with a plastic utensil or straw. The machine will stop every 2 minutes. Repeat 2 more times for a total of 6 minutes, repeatedly stirring the mixture. Now this is step 4. It'll yield around 12 grams of vitamin C, and the mixture will keep at room temperature 3 to 4 days. But if you refrigerate it, it will last longer. Now I get my bulk non-GMO lecithin source from Amazon. And you can get bulk ascorbic acid from Amazon and use the Now brand. Now, I don't know about an ultra clean bowl from Walmart, but I use a blender. You can use what you feel you have or what you can afford. They're not expensive. So that was the end of that, the vitamin C therapy. And it's pretty amazing how Mother Nature has built in all these traps of the mycoplasma, but also the body sometimes works against itself and mycoplasma wins. But if you have the right knowledge and you have the information, you know how to kill mycoplasma by now. I've had almost 20 plus podcasts on how to kill mycoplasma, and you have to do your own research. You have to figure out which one is best for you. My choice of the best killer is mild silver protein, and I have some really good news. I'm working with a doctor, has a clinic in Mexico, and we're talking about he's going to start doing the IV silver. We're setting it up, and it's a great place to go on vacation. It's right below Cancun, so in the future podcast, I'll give you more information about getting the silver IV. Again, I was sick for 4 years with mycoplasma and in a wheelchair, and I just had 2 IVs of silver, and it knocked it right out. And to just wrap it up, it's all about information, about knowledge and wise choices. And I hope this podcast was informational. My next podcast is going to be about baking soda, how baking soda kills mycoplasma. I've got some interesting stories with the baking soda too. I like to always tell a story to make things interesting. So again, educate yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Make your own decisions. And eventually I'm going to do a podcast on mild silver protein because that's one of the best ways to kill it. And I'm really excited. This made my day that I found I have 2 doctors that give the IVs. So eventually I'm going to be giving information out where to get the IVs. And I hope to have a lot of people get well. And like I said, it's not against the law to do the mild silver protein IV, but it is against the law to get well. So until next time, good night and God bless.